This show can address the stigma surrounding the use of psychedelics and help shape our story into a new narrative that is authentic.
Hello?
Hello?
Who is this?
You tell me your name, I'll tell you mine.
I don't think so.
In the modern era, psychedelics has been vilified as a dangerous.
Most drugs are meant for medical use. You must decide use or abuse.
This is not just my story. It reflects our collective struggle. We all carry the shadows within us, but through the connection and the vulnerability, we can become a heal.
Question of education, to teach people to be on their guard against the sort of verbal booby traps into which they're always being led, to analyze the kind of things that are said to them. I think it's terribly important to insist on individual values, that every human being is unique. And it is, of course, on this genetical basis that the whole idea of the value of freedom is based.
My name is Tom, and I'm standing here today as I'm ready to confront the shadows that haunted me. I am not just the survivor of addiction, I am the advocate for the change. Take a trip and let the darkness inside you embrace. Together, we can reshape the stigma and the potential healing of the psychedelics. By sharing my own experiences and the struggle with addiction, I hope to create a space for reflection and vulnerability.
Will never be the same, because once you've looked beyond the veil, you realize that there is a veil, and that changes your worldview forever.
I hesitate questioning that I was seeking another high, but curiosity nudged me, urging me to find the clarity amidst the chaos. I began to explore these substances with the intentions not as escape, but as a meaning of my pain. I attend the ceremonies and surrounded myself with others that understand the complexity of the human psyche.
At 11 a.m., I swallowed 4/10 of a gram of mescaline dissolved in half a glass of water and sat down to wait for the results.
I was scared. It was obvious that the more powerful LSD swept you far beyond the tender wisdom of mushrooms or cacti.
If sanity implies madness and faith implies doubt, am I basically a psychotic pretending to be sane?
When you step through the doors that psychedelics offer, you are going to be required to draw on every resource that you have as a human being. And amongst those resources, most prominently is courage. You must overcome your fear.
Under proper psychedelic guidance, I'm saying healing is actually possible.
In the spring of 1953, Humphrey Osmond, a psychiatrist, offered me the chance to take part in an experiment to further understand the psychological effects of mescaline. At 11 a.m., I swallowed 4/10 of a gram dissolved in half a glass of water and sat down to wait for the results.
This is not just my story. It reflects our collective struggle that we carry within us. But through the connection and the vulnerability, we can become the healer.
We're implied, taught that with our minds you create the world. So how we see the world, that's the world we're going to live in. What it didn't say, which is more a modern psychological insight, is that before, with our minds you create the world creates our minds. So somebody who believes that the world is a horrible place lives in a very different world, different universe than somebody who sees the world as beautiful and painful and capable of generating sorrow and generating joy. A world where there's cruelty and there's a lot of compassion at the same time.
Close your eyes and picture the shadow that is hunting you. What a fear is gripping your heart. Hold on this picture because we are going to embark this journey through the addiction and the psychedelics.
Time stands still, beauty in all she is. I will be brave, I will not let anything take away. Standing in front of me, every breath, every hour has come to this. One step
I leave the church and find myself at a corner gas station on a hot afternoon. Dust and exhaust fumes, the billboards half-heartedly gaudy. I find the flatness so reassuring. Nothing around here but just us, folks. It's hard work for people to constantly deny what they are, to pretend that they're not the avatars of divine beings, Brahman, Atman and Shiva, that the cells of their bodies aren't millions of gods, that the dust isn't a haze of jewels.
As the late 1960s swept the planet, more and more humans began to awaken to the possibility of a greater reality. And the shades were opened on the occult secrets held in the libraries, and new messages began filling the shelves.
With my own experience,
Are we rolling? What the hell is going on?
The position that modern societies have taken on psychedelics, we've demonized these substances, we've made them illegal, we've subjected people to harsh prison sentences if they're found in possession of psychedelics. This is a terrible error that is being made in modern Western society. We are losing contact with our fundamental roots.
in the modern era, psychedelics has been vilified as a dangerous recreation chemical.
This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Yet, as a species, humans haven't always held this view.
The Eleusinian mysteries in ancient Greece clearly had a psychedelic sacrament. It was used in a beverage called the kykeon.
Delving in the past, we find psychedelics were revered as medicines delivered by the gods.
Studying the Hindu culture, in very many depictions, Shiva's holding a vessel that contains bhang, which is a cannabis-containing beverage that is flavored with spices.
Today, with an ever-increasing openness to explore, these substances will humanity not only rediscover the profound health benefit of psychedelics, but also realize the true nature of our reality as an ancient civilization claimed.
LSD and psilocybin both function like serotonin in the brain, binding directly to one type of serotonin receptor in particular.
What psychedelic means from its linguistic roots is mind manifesting. The idea that these are mind manifesting, that's consistent with this other notion that these are non-specific amplifiers. In other words, you could have a euphoric experience, you could have a hellish experience. There's some interacting reasons why the psychedelic renaissance is happening now. Our society has been in a mental health crisis, and it's been stagnating.
It wasn't until the mid-20th century that science got with the program. Early psychedelics research transformed neuroscience.
We began treating 5 patients for 26 days.
In clinical trials, psychedelics like LSD showed extraordinary potential.
It's an important drug in treatment of mental and emotional disorder.
These substances rose from obscurity to miraculous promise in a matter of years.
There were a lot of overstatements and urban legends about the dangers of psychedelics. The 1950s through early 70s, they gave a giant dose of LSD to someone and then locked them in a padded room. One of the trials, looking to see if LSD could help people with alcoholism, they literally tied people down in restraints to their hospital bed, gave them a massive dose of LSD, 800 micrograms, and they didn't give them any warning that, that they took this substance that would profoundly alter their conscious experience.
I'm not going to incriminate myself on the internet. I know better than that.
I can't tell you! All of a sudden, I couldn't stop smiling, and my heart started beating super fast. The room is spinning, and I'm convinced I'm gonna die. I was throwing up all night.
Go ahead. Just let it melt on your tongue.
You always say I never take you anywhere.
Clearly, there's this very real biological effect. Something dramatic happens to the brain when you put the psychedelic in the system. But then someone has this experience, and when they change their life because of that, that ends up sounding more like they went through a really good course of psychotherapy. For example, MDMA will work by releasing serotonin, so that's a different mechanism. And you have other drugs such as ketamine and PCP, so that affects the glutamate system in the brain primarily rather than the serotonin system. So what does psychedelic mean then if it refers to multiple pharmacological classes of drugs that work in different ways? And the answer for me is that these are all drugs that can have a profound effect on one's sense of reality, including one's sense of self. At the psychological level, patients who have claims of insight, viewing themselves from a radically different perspective, from a different lens, there's a greater ability to establish a new and more optimal normal state.
So many Americans been under 25. There were over 90 million of them, nearly half the population. And many were disillusioned with the world around them.
Psychedelics from the Greek psyche, meaning mind, and delos, meaning make visible or reveal. They are substances that produce changes in the perception mood.
The Harvard psilocybin project, which conducted experiments based around psychedelic drugs, fueled by Leary's beliefs that drugs can distributing psychedelics throughout the country during the height of the hippie movement, making sure the late 60s ran equally on free love and peace and a crap ton of psychedelic drug.
Those gathered in the park that sunny January day sought a different world.
It would be a world where people live gently on the planet without the sense that they have to exploit nature or make war upon nature and find basic security. A simpler way of life, less urban, less consumption-oriented.
The development of the conventional treatments could take years. This had led some sufferers of mental illness with an aversion to synthetic pharmaceuticals to self-medicate with the psychedelics.
2 days what conventional therapy would take years.
It's strange. I feel like the same person, but today I feel so much lighter.
Ayahuasca saved my life, honestly.
Once they drink that cup, there is no turning back.
Psilocybin to really wake me up from my anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts.
It's completely different than anything I've ever experienced. Deeper, more meaningful, more life-changing.
What ayahuasca can really do, they say it can be like 10 years worth of therapy in one night. Because when you're in therapy in the West, you're talking and you're engaging the intellect. But ayahuasca makes permeable your unconscious, it opens the heart more, and it becomes very visible. Anything you've been holding in your energetic field, anything emotionally or you've suppressed can come up, and it comes up in a way that you're not attached to it. So you can entertain it, and then you can let go of it.
His brave new world of psychedelic usage has a bright future, especially for those suffering with the affliction of PTSD, depression, addiction, and physical trauma. Modern application of psychedelic substances can also offer metaphysical and spiritual experiences that very well may be life-changing for the individual.
911, stage for emergency.
We need an ambulance, please.
Press 1 broadcast for welfare check. Possibly 2 subjects overdose. 911, stage for emergency.
I don't know what happened. My son's dead. I need somebody here now.
At the risk of sounding hyperbolic, let me say it this way. The biggest threat to health in Fresno County is no longer COVID. It's substance use.
Each person has their own story for how they got caught up in addiction.
I'm not in a good place, not at all. Everything is falling apart. I want it to stop, but I just can't. It's like I'm trapped. Like I can't ask for help. Like you won't think I am worth the time of day because I have a drug problem.
Introspective,
truthful,
spiritual,
eye-opening, novel, inspiring,
colorful,
fun,
emotional.
I was obviously reacting to, a very difficult childhood of illness that nearly killed me many times, difficult family circumstances, socially, economically, stressed out mother, absent father, and, drugs were a great comfort. So having another punisher, as it were, with the police, although, I'm sure that most of them don't even want to do it, but it is their job. What's the point?
When I did psychedelics, I think it's not so much the drug, but it's what the drug shows you. It shows you that you're telling yourself things that aren't true.
You have to decide there and then whether you're going to be a victim of that for the rest of your life or not.
It made me think, well, perhaps I'm not just a passenger on this merry-go-round.
Is that a beautiful experience, would you say?
I would say yes.
There are no good or bad drugs. There are just good or bad policies.
He was very eager for me to take LSD, but I resisted the idea. Everything I had heard about lysergic acid sounded ominous. The mushrooms and peyote I had been experimenting with had grown naturally in the ground and been used for thousands of years in wise Indian cultures. LSD, on the other hand, was a laboratory product that had quickly fallen into the hands of psychiatrists and security services. I was scared. It was obvious that the more powerful LSD swept you far beyond the tender wisdom of mushrooms or cacti.
We got a ride, we got the night. I got the bottle, you got the light. We got the stars, we got audio. We're gonna fly, we're getting high. You got the moon dust, I got the sky. We got the stars, we got audio. Make the bum bum beat, I'll give you melody. Make the bum bum beat, I'll give you melody. Make the song so sweet, you gon' come home with me, oh. Make the bum bum beat, I'll give you melody. Make the bum bum beat, I'll give you melody. Make the song so sweet, you gon' come home with me, oh.
We got the heart, we got the soul. Just when the world's saying they got no hope, here comes the love. We got audio. I'm flying high, superhero. S on my chest with my Marilyn Monroe. Feel like a star. We got audio.
Make the bum bum beat, I'll give you melody.